Yo guys, Fishing Gen here, back with more Call of Duty Zombies content. Today's episode will be around Reckoning, aka the Janus Towers, an amazing Black Ops 6 Zombies map with a very difficult to learn but yet fun to play map layout, incredible map lore, unique features, a truly entertaining Easter egg from the story, the Wonderweapon with the Gorgofex, its two variants, as well as an incredible and very challenging two boss fights. Now this is episode 16 of the Zombie series with all of my previous episodes on the channel, so on that note, let's get right into it. So first things first, just as an initial overview of this video, this episode, this map in itself, I would say that this is a great map. Very surprisingly fun to play, even though and despite the backlash that I've seen from fans and reviews that I've seen heading into this map. Now, I'm a little bit later to playing this map when people started getting into this at the launch of this. Now, heading into Black Ops 7, part of the goal of this series was to complete all of the Black Ops 6 maps so that we go into Black Ops 7 knowing where the story, of course, ended, which I was already fully aware of. But like I said, there was some backlash that I've seen, and I would say it had medium expectations, not too high. Although as a finale map, of course, it definitely should have high expectations. Like I said, following backlash that I've seen, I would say that this map definitely met and achieved higher than those expectations, to be honest with you. I really enjoyed my time playing this. I have played it only twice. I got to the boss fight both times. On the first attempt, we actually failed the boss fight on the Richtofen fight, which I'll get into in the Easter egg step at the end of this video. And then I'd say it was just also too high of a round. Definitely a difficult boss fight, and we had no strategy. That was the first time I've ever played the map, and we ended up getting all the way through to the boss fight, and we just picked Richtofen, which was definitely a stupid idea after looking back and also reviewing all of the tips and tricks that I've seen on the videos that I've seen elsewhere. And I'd say that definitely the Sam troll on the second attempt, which is what we did, we finally defeated the Sam boss. Both are very challenging. The Sam one wasn't easy by any means, as I've seen some people say that that is definitely easy, but it's just easier than the Richtofen one. That's all it is. They're both very difficult, but the Richtofen one just became way too difficult when we did it on the first attempt, when he starts flying around. And in a way, I kind of like that both these bosses are so difficult to play against. Getting it to sort of play it multiple times is a good thing, and I like this about Zombies. I don't like one map wonders where you play it once, you complete it, it was too easy, and then you move on. Especially if you're like me and you're in a series where I'm trying to complete all of the Zombies maps and play all of the Easter eggs and complete everything as a part of this series. I will eventually not remember some maps to the same level like I want to, whereas like Shattered Veil, I ended up failing it a couple of times, and I had to play it like 3 or 4 or 5 times because the boss fight was so hard, and that meant I got to do the Easter eggs so many times. I've learned it like to the back of my hand, and I really enjoyed that map. And just like this, we did end up playing it only twice. I will eventually definitely come back to this map because I will want to get some payback on Richtofen and defeat that version of the boss fight. And then going forward, this will definitely be a map that I come back to for certain. I really enjoyed the experience of playing this map, figuring it all out, the Easter egg, and completing, of course, the Easter egg as well as the boss fights. But more so, I do need to defeat Richtofen, as he did get the best of me on the first time playing this through, so I have to come back and get my revenge. I'd say as for a ranking, I would definitely say initially and as of right now, this is an A tier map. Now, there's so many features of this that have A tier ranking, but I do need to say that I have to come back to it and play it more and get more of a sort of previous feel of the other CODs as well to truly determine where this map will rank all time. But I'd say it definitely is a strong, arguable contender for a top 3 Black Ops 6 map. I wouldn't say it's number 1, but it could definitely be in the top 3. I do really love Citadel Day Moore, Shattered Veil, and Terminus, so I would say it's hard to argue that this map is above any of them, but I would say that this map and this game has so many A tier maps, and this is just definitely one of them in my opinion. I think a B tier was like where I was initially going to rank it, but just playing it, completing the boss fights, sort of due to how challenging those bosses are, I feel like it's just unjustified with how much detail this map has to just rank it in a B tier purely because of what other people have said. I think from my own experience playing it, I would say it definitely is a low A tier map, not the highest, like it's not on the verge of being S tier or anything like that. I would say it's in between almost B and S, whereas others like Citadel, Shattered Veil, and Terminus are like strong A tier maps in my opinion. But I would be interested to hear you guys' thoughts on this map. Is it a top 3 map in Black Ops 6 for you guys? Is it number 1, or is it even an A tier map, or is it the least favorite? Let me know down below, guys, because I'm truly interested to hear your thoughts, or whether or not I've got this wrong. Because like I said, I have seen some mixed reviews, and I'm just curious. It's just sort of curious about how other people in the community sort of rank this map. I would say it's definitely a fun and unique map layout. Of course, it's very confusing, but it has so many great features with the 2 towers, having to figure out the elevators and all of the launchers around the map, being able to parachute down from the top. I just love all of these sorts of aspects, as well as the pack-a-punch area, very Cold War-like, with of course no sort of elemental weapon in this map, although it does have the Gorgofex and its 2 variants, which I would say are very cool, a great Wonderweapon in itself. But I would say honestly it was quite disappointing with this Wonderweapon. I would say it's definitely not bad or anything like that, it's just not a map finale sort of worthy sort of Wonderweapon in my opinion. It's just not exciting enough. I wouldn't say it does enough on the map in itself in order for it to be super effective, and even in the boss fight when I had it at PAP 3 with it upgraded, I wouldn't say it was even that effective or that cool either. But I do like it. I simply just think there's better options out there. Now, the map itself is definitely not user-friendly, so I wonder if that is what's sort of laying into the decisions of people not enjoying this map potentially, because it is definitely not a difficult map to both understand, maneuver, and of course just move around the map and figuring out this Easter egg. But I would say it's definitely an enjoyable Easter egg journey with the story, and I like having the different alternative pathways and choices, making it more engaging and replayable, because now I have to come back and try different options, create the 2 variants of the Gorgofex to try out to obviously defeat Richtofen's boss, which is what I've obviously said. The two boss fights in this map are so difficult, but also so great in this. The arena is challenging with the space, the pathing, the limited cover that you have. The boss fights are both very fun, although intense and definitely challenging, but I absolutely loved it. I like that I failed the first time, which I know sounds weird, but I like having to lock in, take it serious, and appreciate what a masterpiece this map and boss fights are. It's rare after 20 years of gaming for myself to have moments like these boss fights where you're truly tested, and I live for this, to say the least. Like, I absolutely enjoy having to absolutely lock in and try my hardest, because that is what this map does, and it did do that for myself and my brother, who I'm playing with in this gameplay. And I don't know if you guys are the same, as you just absolutely breeze through this, and maybe you have different strats, but I'd say I'm a very competent player if you guys are new to this series. I've been working my way through all of the Black Ops maps in terms of Black Ops 1 all the way through in terms of zombies, Easter eggs, whatever it may be, and I would say I'm definitely more than above average in terms of zombies. I definitely struggled on this, not to get to the boss fight, but just the boss fight itself. I definitely struggled on. I had to lock in. Like, I did do it on the second attempt ever doing it, and I did get to the boss fight on the first ever attempt, so I'm not saying it's impossible to get there or anything like that. I would just say it's definitely difficult. You do have to take it serious and lock in and understand, more importantly, what you're actually doing. I'd say just generally this map is really good, and I guess as a comparison for this map versus other Black Ops 6 maps, and generally this has to be one of the best ones in my opinion. I wouldn't say it's the top one, like I said, but it definitely is, or arguably, a top 3 map, and I do think and stand by that definitely after my 2 attempts. And as for the map specific details, the layout itself is really cool. I think it's a very large map with many interesting areas and features, all mostly used in the Easter egg, which of course is important. Now, as for the high round on this map, I haven't obviously attempted one yet, but personally I think this could definitely be, and I imagine this will be, one of those better high round maps in Black Ops 6. I haven't really got the urge to play any maps for high rounds anymore. I'm more of an Easter egg guy, as of course that is the essence of this series, but more of it to Black Ops 6 in a comparison aspect. I'd say it is a really underrated and even perhaps an even overhated game from a zombies point of view. This content is purely about the zombies, so we're not talking about anything else other than that. And I'd go as far as to say that genuinely, even having played zombies since the start, I'm an OG player from the World at War days. I played back in 2009. This game, and it's perhaps even a top 3 potential, that maybe sound controversial to some people. I know that is crazy to even hear, but I'm not saying it is at this point in time. I'm definitely just saying it's arguable that this is a top 3 zombies game. I mean, Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 3 are my number 1 and 2, hands down. There's no question. They're interchangeable. One or the other goes above all the other, when depending on which day or how I'm feeling, whatever it is. But they're number 1 and 2. As for number 3, I would say that this can contend with the rest in the series, but I will leave that, guys, for you guys to tell me in the comments if this is a hot take, or if you're a newer player to the franchise, what is your thoughts on Black Ops 6 Zombies, and can this contend as a top 3 zombies all time? I would say that the maps so far, all the way through to Reckoning, have been incredible, and I'd say a reminder about this series in case you guys are new or you've been sticking along throughout, so thank you firstly, but also a reminder for yourselves, the goal of this series is to complete every single Easter egg in all of Zombies. So I started from World at War. Of course, there is no Easter eggs in World at War, so we just played those maps through, and we're working our way all the way through the series into Black Ops 7, and then I'm going to sort of multitask and play Cold War all the way through those DLCs, Black Ops 4, and then work our way backwards whilst also playing Black Ops 7 when the game comes out. But I thought that was worth mentioning in case you guys want to stick around and stay by with this series, and also just follow along with my journey in completing all of the Easter eggs, so that eventually we will create an ultimate ranking list of this series in terms of every single map, its Easter egg, and whatever it may be, because that is the ultimate goal. I want to be in a position one day where I have every single Easter egg completed and on this channel, talked about in depth in terms of an overview from the Easter egg point of view, as well as just the map in itself, and also what the game was like to play in its prime, which fortunately I'm playing Black Ops 6 in its prime, where we're going into Black Ops 7, so I have really sort of recency bias views on these maps, and I'm sure when I come back to these one days, just as the finale, as we wrap up the series, we will eventually have an ultimate sort of tier list and ranking list, which usually for me are determined to a large extent by the Easter egg. Now, going on to the Easter egg of this map, a reminder for you guys, this is not a guide. I do not create Easter egg guides. This is purely me just summarizing the Easter egg, because it's an important aspect of all completing Easter eggs and maps in themselves. And I would say the Easter egg on this map is definitely easy enough to get through to the boss fight. Like I said, I've alluded to all throughout, the boss fight is where the true challenge lies. Now, the Easter egg in itself is pretty straightforward. It's just long-winded. There is a lot going on and you have to manage a lot, but I would say it's nothing too out of the ordinary. It's pretty easy to pick up for the most part, especially if you're a competent player. Now, you initially have to just start the map and get to Pack-a-Punch. Along the way to Pack-a-Punch, you need to grab the syringe from the lab, the research lab, and use the wisp once you're in the Pack-a-Punch room and you unlock the Pack-a-Punch area to move the body in that wisp form to collect the blood sample. Once you collect the blood sample, you can then go into the research lab and spawn in the HVT using that syringe. You then need to collect the mutant injection that is on the floor after defeating the HVT, and also to collect the DNA vial in the research lab. You then need to go up to the top of the map and use the mutant injection to obtain access into the teleportation lab. Obtain the 4 codes around the map. One is going to be in that lab, and 3 of them are going to be in the executive suite. And then you can put these into the computer in date order from month using this chronological order. It's not difficult to understand. And then from there, you need to collect the brain in the quantum computing room, which you need obviously melee macchiato. Take it up to the teleportation lab in a timely manner. Then you need to obtain the periodic code by using the 2 screens in the research lab. Use the 2 letters at the start of each of the 2 words, or just 1 word. You then need to check the corresponding letters, the starting letters, to which sort of periodic number that will correspond to. By collecting that number or noting that down, you then need to go up above and go and put this code into the door, which will allow you to go into the bio lab. Once you've got the elemental number and you're in the biolab, you can then obtain the cyst, which is in the little sort of computer on the side. By collecting the spider and zombie souls, will fill this up, and you can then collect that cyst, take this down into the quantum computing room, and find the 3 plants. You then need to effectively like drain the essence, or almost like destroy them, by standing by and just effectively collecting the essence into the cyst in itself. And then once you've done that, you can then go up to the top of the map and initiate the power source in the dark entity containment room to spawn in the Klaus robot. Now you effectively need to remove the shoulder pads on this in order to get this step done, and then walk him onto the platform in front of the giant sand machine. But it's just a general like tip, I would say, for a future step that's coming up later in the Easter egg. Like I said, it's not a guide, but just generally a tip that I found useful along my journey. You can also use this same Klaus before you start doing any damage to him or anything like that. Just go down below and get him to basically shoot his electrified shots at the robot that you're going to need in the assembly room later, because this is just going to help you later on. Because in my first attempt, we ended up having to not, obviously I didn't know this step was going to happen, was almost watching the Easter egg video as I went through it, and I didn't realize. So then later on I had to then wait for a Klaus robot to spawn in before we could progress through, which of course just burns through rounds. So just as a general tip to save you rounds later, and also just do 2 steps in one go almost. And then effectively you need to then go back up, walk the Klaus robot onto the actual platform. Like I said, once you destroyed or remove the shoulder pads, he will then break, and then he'll turn into the Forsaken. Defeat this Klaus Forsaken, and then also the clone that will spawn after, and then effectively you'll be able to obtain the Gorgofex, this map's Wonderweapon. You can then either upgrade this Gorgofex by choosing the 2 to help Panos or Blanchard, which will give you 2 different variants. You can only have one or the other, you cannot have both, so just bear that in mind. But you do not need to upgrade this for the actual Easter egg in itself, although a lot of the guides do say that. I have not actually had to do this since myself. I have tested this, and so there are other videos that have come out since that do say that you do not have to do this. So it's just a step that you can also say as a tip, I would say. You can skip this step so it doesn't waste any more time. But of course, unless you want to upgrade it to get the better version of the Gorgofex, then that is completely up to you. But some of them do take a bit longer, depending on obviously which step you want to do. But then from there, you need to go into sub-level 10, the Pack-a-Punch room, and carry out the lockdown event by pressing sort of the red button in the machine room, shooting the blue spiders that are in that room, and collecting those zombie souls. Once you get that, you need to collect the blue charge wisps, take this down, and without shooting, of course, into the teleportation lab, and shoot the portal that will effectively spawn the boss arena later. Then you need to obtain the 2 Klaus arms, which you can do throughout the game simultaneously, as well as the legs that are in the assembly room. Once you got the 2 Klaus arms from destroying Klaus robots, as well as collecting the 2 legs in the assembly, you can effectively, once of course you have activated and turned on and used the power swords to turn on the robot, like I said earlier with the little tip, you can then turn and activate this robot, and he will then effectively go to the computer, and he will start typing away, where you will then need to go another round. Once you go another round, he will then basically lead you towards a SAM trial, which you will need to follow him, complete this SAM trial, and then head into the teleportation room after completing, where he'll then be typing away on another computer in that new lab. Collect the fungal head, which is the difficult step, of course, which a lot of people struggle on with regards to getting the sprinkler on in certain areas of the map. But you'll need to effectively collect this fungal head, go and place it in water, but in a water bucket that you can obviously find in various different locations using various different methods. But in my game, we basically use the sprinkler step at the start, where right at the very start, if you just effectively don't walk out past the metal detectors, and you effectively just move the mop bucket under the spawn room, go through the detector, it will then trigger the sprinklers, and that bucket will then fill up with water. So you can save this for later. So it's just an advanced tip, I guess, as well. Like I said, not a guide, but just another tip to help you guys in case you guys weren't aware, because this was actually really helpful for me on my second attempt, because on the first attempt I was not aware of this, but on the second attempt we did this right at the start, which is of course what you've seen in this gameplay. Then you need to effectively collect the souls and take this fungal head, once it's collected all the souls, up into the teleportation lab, into the portal, which you'll effectively be able to then summon the portal, which will then effectively allow you to do the boss fight later. And then you'll also need to then obtain the 4 vacuum seal devices, which is almost like the finale step. There are loads of vacuum seal boxes around the map. You need to effectively find all of them, grab each of the seal devices, and throw them at purple objects. Complete this 4 times and get 4 number of these, and then you're on the final step, which then takes you into the teleportation lab. Using all 4 of these vacuum seal devices, place them into the console, which then starts this final lockdown. Survive this phase, activate the red flashing devices when they turn on, when you are required to do so, and then you are now able to start the boss fight. Now, this is where you'll need to understand and choose to whether you want to help Sam or help Richtofen. Now, do note this very carefully, because I actually did not intend to fight Richtofen the first time. I thought the wording said, do you want to fight Richtofen or do you want to fight Sam? So I effectively, when I first did it, I clicked on Sam, but I didn't actually realize it meant help, and it does literally say help Sam or Richtofen. So I clicked Richtofen, obviously, as who we were going to fight, which was by mistake. Now, I would definitely recommend against this, because this is, like I said, all the way throughout, the ridiculous boss fight version versus the Sam one. Although both are very challenging, we did eventually fail doing the Richtofen one, whereas we actually did the Sam one. I would argue that we were more sort of prepared and we were just strategizing a little bit better, but I would say the Richtofen one was definitely more intimidating and far more chaotic and just a bit more intense, especially when you have to factor in, you have to complete 2 boss fights. You effectively have to destroy the Uber Klaus, and then you have to defeat Richtofen with the Wonderweapon, and he's just flying around like Iron Man. I would say definitely understand this, but once you choose whichever one you want to go through. You then choose, you need to then charge up 3 soul canisters in the first sort of at the floor of the elevator room. You then need to head up another level once you've done that and destroy various purple crystals. And then once you've done that, the lift will then allow you to take you up into the boss arena onto the roof, where you will of course fight your 2 bosses. Now these 2 bosses are very difficult, as I've said all the way throughout, but so challenging and also rewarding, which are going to be really exciting once you've finally done it, because I can tell you it was very fulfilling getting this boss fight, achieving this, and finally completing and ticking off this off my list. Saying that I've completed all of Black Ops 6 Zombies was a great bucket list item for myself, especially as a big zombie fan and a part of this series. Getting into Black Ops 7 whilst completing all of these Easter eggs was really important for me, because I did not want to start Black Ops 7 without completing all of these Easter eggs. So this is a massive step in the right direction for myself and a part of this series. Effectively, during the Sam boss fight, you just effectively need to understand the 3 phases of which he basically deals damage to you. There is 2 phases where you can effectively deal damage to her, and there are 3 phases of attacks that she does. She does the laser attack, which is like almost the best one, although it seems so intimidating. This is actually what you want her to be doing, because it's really easy to avoid, and once you avoid it for the sort of short duration it shoots the laser, you can then deal damage to it, and that is effectively where you're going to feel you're doing the most amount of work or damage to this boss. The other event effects is where she spins around firing all of the blue electricity around the map. That is actually terrifying. This is where you can die, so if you're not looking out for that, this is where you'll go down really quickly. And then the other one later on in the boss fight is the purple orbs, where she'll just basically shoot down purple projectiles, which do lethal damage to you, but they're not that hard to avoid. So I would also just say that. But just generally, you can shoot her during that phase of the blue orb one. You can also shoot her after the laser, and you can also shoot her when she goes up into the teleporters. There's big purple sort of portals that appear in the sky. Other than that, it's pretty much straightforward. So train around zombies, deal with the zombies that spawn, and then just survive all of these attacks and deal damage when you can. I'd say that is not much to it. Obviously, there's the Sam trial step as well, where she'll effectively spawn into Sam trials. You'll need to complete those Sam trials in a timely manner, and then effectively you're pretty much done with the Easter egg. Just do the same thing over and over again. Balance all the zombies, just avoid all of the damage attacks, and then just deal damage when you can. And effectively, you'll eventually get to the last bit where you can effectively destroy her, which is really satisfying. As I said, the Uberklaus one with the Richtofen was definitely far harder. Having to destroy the Uberklaus and then move on to destroying Richtofen, where he's then flying around like Iron Man, as I said, was really challenging, and almost I was taken away. I didn't actually watch the rest of the video. I just thought it was fight Uberklaus once I sort of realized we picked the wrong one. But after defeating Uberklaus, I thought we'd done it. I cheered, and then effectively I saw another boss bar appear, and I was like, oh, great. And by this point in that boss fight, I'd already lost all my perks. We'd already used all of our sort of mutant injections or chop guns, whatever it is that we had, and all of our gobble gums, so we were pretty much screwed. I only had quick revive left at that point when he spawned, and I just knew that it would happen. But I also wasn't even that annoyed or anything like that, because one, I knew I got to fight this version of the boss, and I knew next time I would try a different one. But also, I know that now I can come back and have more of a reason other than just wanting to defeat this boss, and I want to get my revenge on defeating Richtofen and getting payback, because I cannot let it stand that he got the best of us on the first attempt. So we will come back to this another day. But I'd say, just moving on to the final point in summary, Black Ops 6 has been an incredible experience in my opinion from a zombies point of view, with 4 A-tier maps, with Terminus, Citadel de Moor, Shattered Vale, and of course this map in itself being all A-tier in my personal rankings. And then we also have 2 B-tier maps with Liberty Falls and the Tomb. I would say they are also really good maps. They definitely are not bad maps. There is not a bad map in Black Ops 6 in my opinion. The Tomb I've seen has had some negative reviews. I've seen this map have some negative reviews because it should have been a better finale, whatever it may be. And I've also seen Liberty Falls with some negative reviews, which we've gone over in all of the previous episodes, all linked in the description and all on the channel in case you guys weren't aware and are interested in going checking them out, because that is where I went over from Liberty Falls, working my way through all the way through the story from Terminus all the way through to now, and we've gone over every episode. And like I said, I have massively enjoyed Black Ops 6. This journey has been incredible. I've eventually will make an ultimate tier list on all of the maps, as I said, and games. Once I've played all of them through in this series, I can then truly determine where each of these maps rank all time. But as a whole, I was very pleased with Black Ops 6 Zombies. Very underrated in my opinion. Going into Black Ops 7, I'm super excited. I think this map has just really sort of tipped the scales in terms of where Zombies is going to go. I think perhaps recency bias, but I thoroughly enjoyed this game, and The Reckoning was a good finale map in my opinion. Now, it's not the best finale, and I do understand to an extent why this map was slightly downscaled in terms of rankings, because the maps before were better, but it doesn't take away how good of a map, or sort of like a finale map that this map was and did provide for us. It just, I do agree that it was not the #1 map in this game, and not necessarily the best finale that we've ever had. But again, most finales don't ever live to that expectations. Like, look at Revelations from Black Ops 3, the most hyped up sort of game of all time in terms of Zombies point of view. One of the greatest games ever in my opinion, and just generally Revelations was not the greatest map or the best finale either, even though it was a great one. It just wasn't, because we had Golrod, we had Darius Draco, and so on. We had Shadows of Evil. So I think just generally that is not enough to take away from what this map provided for us, and I definitely think is a great map and a good way to finish off Black Ops 6 with some of the hardest boss fights that I've encountered throughout this game, and just generally in my gaming time playing Zombies as well. But with that said, that is the video in itself. If you have enjoyed, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you have any comments or tips or tricks about playing Zombies, or of course anything about Black Ops 6, or even any suggestions about future videos that you want to see on the channel, let me know down below in the comments and I'll go right back to you. I'm VisionSGen. I hope you enjoyed the video and this content, and I'll see you in the next one.